Uber was founded by Travis Kalanick and Garrett Camp, who became friends while attending the University of California, Los Angeles. The idea for Uber originated in Paris in 2008 when Kalanick and Camp struggled to find a taxi during a cold winter night. Their frustration with the traditional taxi experience planted the seed for a new concept, actually a billion-dollar idea. The initial vision of Uber was to create a luxury cab service with advanced features. They wanted to provide a convenient and high-quality transportation experience to users. The idea started when Kalanick and Camp watched a James Bond movie in which Bond used his phone to follow a car. This scene of 007 inspired them to incorporate GPS tracking into their service, allowing users to monitor the progress of their ride. Strike of genius, thanks to Bond. Uber's first iteration was called the Uber Cab, and it was publicly launched in 2010 in San Francisco. At the time, it was primarily targeted at providing luxury black cab and limousine services. The service offered a touch-of-a-button experience through the mobile app, allowing users to request a ride seamlessly. In its early stages, Uber quickly gained popularity and became synonymous with a certain level of status and prestige. The convenience, luxury, and innovative nature of the service transformed it into a symbol of sophistication, particularly in affluent areas like San Francisco where it was first launched. With Uber, the experience of requesting a ride became more than just a means of transportation. It became a statement, an embodiment of a lifestyle choice that exuded a sense of exclusivity and refinement. The sleek black cars with leather interiors, complete with chilled bottles of water, elevated the ride-hailing experience to a whole new level. The seamless cashless payment system further added to the allure. Passengers no longer had to fumble for change or calculate tips, enhancing the overall convenience and elegance of the Uber experience. It catered to the desires of individuals seeking a more sophisticated and hassle-free way to travel within cities. But with the success, Uber started to face some scandals and controversies. The company broke the traditional rules of owning a fleet of cars while leveraging a unique approach that allowed them to save money while providing a wide range of vehicles for their service. Uber didn't have its own cars, so it hired professional drivers who used their own cars for ride-sharing. Uber was able to avoid high costs of buying, maintaining, and running a fleet of vehicles by using this unusual business model. By leveraging the existing cars owned by drivers, Uber eliminated the need for substantial upfront investments and ongoing expenses related to owning a fleet. This approach not only saved Uber significant capital, but also allowed them to scale their operations rapidly. By utilizing the personal vehicles of drivers, Uber could tap into a vast network of available cars without the burden of ownership. This flexibility was crucial in Uber's early expansion, as it allowed them to quickly establish a presence in multiple cities and cater to the growing demand for their service. However, this model also introduced legal and regulatory complexities. As Uber grew, transportation agencies and authorities argued that Uber was essentially operating as a taxi service, which required compliance with specific regulations. In certain instances, local authorities took a firm stance against Uber's operations and threatened severe penalties. In one specific case, it was reported that local authorities informed Uber that for each day they remained operational, the company and its employees could face up to 90 days in jail. The fact that they could go to jail was a big blow to the young and mostly inexperienced Uber team. Many of them were in their 20s, some fresh out of college, and the prospect of facing such severe consequences for their involvement with Uber was undoubtedly devastating and terrifying. Despite the severity of the threat, Travis Kalanick, the co-founder and CEO of Uber, reportedly advised his team to ignore the warnings and continue with their operations. Kalanick asserted that Uber was not a traditional taxi company, but a technology company, and therefore the rules and regulations imposed on taxis did not apply to them. This brave move by Kalanick showed how important the fight Uber was having with regulators and taxi companies. It showed how determined he was to challenge the rules and shake up the transportation industry, even if it could get him in trouble with the law. The significant adoption of Uber by the public did result in a backlash against government authorities in some instances. As Uber gained popularity and its user base expanded, many people embraced the service as a convenient and cost-effective alternative to traditional taxis. This wave of support from users caused a groundswell of public opinion that pushed back against the government's position on Uber and the rules it put on the ride-sharing industry. The public backlash stemmed from several factors. First, users appreciated the convenience and ease of using Uber compared to traditional taxi services. The ability to request a ride with a few taps on a smartphone, track the driver's arrival, and enjoy a seamless payment process resonated with users who found that traditional taxis were cumbersome and outdated. As a result, many Uber users became vocal advocates for the service, expressing their frustration with the government's attempts to restrict or ban Uber's operations. This made people think that the government was stifling innovation and favoring long-standing interests, like traditional taxi companies, over consumer choice and technological progress. Uber partnered with AT&T to offer a unique deal to its drivers. The partnership involved providing Uber drivers with special discounts and offers on AT&T wireless services. In addition to the AT&T partnership, Uber also implemented a cash bonus program to attract new drivers. As part of this program, Uber offered incentives and bonuses to individuals who signed up to become Uber drivers. Also, there were times when Uber gave iPhones to drivers as part of the process of getting them started. The company gave these iPhones to drivers as a way to make sure they had the technology they needed to take and finish rides quickly. The iPhones were preloaded with the Uber app, enabling drivers to seamlessly connect with passengers and navigate to their destinations. To attract riders, Uber employed various strategies, including offering discounts and free trips. These promotional incentives aim to incentivize individuals to choose Uber as their preferred mode of transportation and experience the convenience and affordability of the service. Even though the discounts and promotions cost Uber money in the short term, they helped get more people to use Uber and build a strong customer base. As more people used Uber and saw how convenient, cheap, and high quality it was, they started to use it as their main way to get around, even more than traditional taxis. In 2012, Uber faced a significant battle with regulators over the introduction of a new service called UberX. This service, known as the low-cost or ride-sharing option, allowed private individuals to use their personal vehicles to offer rides to passengers using the Uber app. Regulators argued that UberX drivers should be subject to the same regulations and licensing procedures as taxi drivers, which typically involve obtaining commercial licenses, vehicle inspections, and meeting certain insurance requirements. But the scandals wouldn't stop there. In 2017, a former Uber engineer, Susan Fowler, published a blog post detailing her experience of sexual harassment and the company's inadequate response to her complaints. This led to an internal investigation and the firing of multiple employees, including senior executives. This included Uber's Senior Vice President of Engineering, Amit Singhal, and President of Ridesharing, Jeff Jones. The dismissals were seen as a sign of accountability and the acknowledgement of the need for cultural change within the company. Pressure from investors and the board. The sexual harassment allegations, along with other controversies surrounding Uber, placed immense pressure on the company's investors and board of directors. They viewed the situation as indicative of broader cultural and management issues within Uber, leading to a loss of confidence in Kalanick's leadership. But that was just the tip of the iceberg. Uber's covert operations came to light when news broke about a clandestine program called Greyball. This nefarious scheme allowed Uber to dupe authorities by presenting them with a fake app interface, leaving regulators clueless as Uber continued its forbidden operations undetected. Using Greyball, Uber was able to operate undetected in cities where it faced legal challenges. When authorities attempted to hail an Uber ride using the app, they would be shown a map that appeared to have no available cars nearby. In reality, Uber drivers were active in those areas, but their locations were hidden from the authorities. Once a user was identified as a potential regulator or law enforcement official, their experience with the Uber app would be manipulated. This could include showing fake cars on the map, providing false information about driver availability, or canceling their ride requests. But when people found out about the Greyball program, it caused anger and led to legal problems for Uber. It raised serious ethical questions about how the company works, how open it was, and how well it follows the rules. Authorities in several cities looked into Uber's use of Greyball, and in the end, the program was taken off the market. And there is more. Uber has experienced multiple data breaches over the years. In 2016, it was revealed that hackers had stolen the personal information of 57 million Uber users and drivers. Instead of reporting the breach, Uber paid the hackers $100,000 to delete the data and keep it a secret. This incident raised concerns about Uber's handling of user data and its breach disclosure practices. Authorities in more than one country looked into the data breach because of it. Uber was fined and punished by different governments and regulatory bodies for not protecting user data and for taking too long to report a breach. For instance, the U.S. Federal Trade Commission, FTC, fined Uber $148 million for its data security practices and subsequent cover-up. Following major scandals, Travis Kalanick, the co-founder and CEO of Uber, stepped down from his position in June of 2017 after facing pressure from Uber's board of directors. The decision for Kalanick to step down came after a series of controversies and scandals surrounding Uber, including allegations of sexual harassment, a lawsuit from Alphabet's self-driving car unit Waymo over alleged theft of trade secrets, and a video of Kalanick arguing with an Uber driver that went viral. After his resignation, Uber went through a period of restructuring and implemented various changes to improve its corporate culture and address the concerns raised by Kalanick's tenure. In the tumultuous journey of Uber, scandals and controversies have been intertwined with its path to success, creating a story unlike any other in the business world. While the company has faced its fair share of challenges and negative publicity, it's also impossible to overlook the immense impact it's had on the transportation industry and the global economy. Despite the setbacks, Uber's impact cannot be denied. It fundamentally transformed the transportation landscape, empowering drivers and providing affordable transportation options for millions of riders worldwide. It stimulated economic growth, job creation, and technological advancements, reshaping the way we think about mobility.